Hi there and welcome to my channel. In this video, my topic is sine rule. This is really covered under the topic of tricks. It's done in Form 4 and in Form 5, done both in math and in art math. Now, I must say from my experience with teaching sine rule and trigonometry on the whole, students get confused. So I really hope at the end of this video, when I break down the steps of when do we use sine rule, how do we use sine rule, and actually how to even apply sine rule to real life questions, I hope that this topic on the whole is more approachable. Okay guys, so stay tuned to see what I have coming up next. So a trig question now will fall into two categories. Either we are dealing with a triangle that is right angled, and in this case, if it's right angled, you'll see this little box here, and then we can use SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA means sine stands, well, S stands for sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan is opposite over adjacent. If, however, we are given a triangle looking like this, where it's not right angle triangle, not one, then what I'll do is I could use either cos rule or sine rule. Now, if you checked my video before, you would see that I use cos rule if I have all three sides of the triangle, or if I have two sides and the angle in between. For sine rule now, I teach us two ways. I tell students, check out your triangle. If you have all three sides, well then you use cos rule. If you have two sides and the angle in between, you use cos rule. If you have anything other than these two conditions, then we use sine rule. So let me say that again. If we're dealing with a triangle that is not right angle triangle, and if you've gone through your conditions, you're checking out your triangle and you're saying, okay, do I have all three sides? No. Do I have two sides and the angle in between? No. If these two conditions are negative, then I would simply tell my students use sine rule. Now, if you find this hard to understand, then I can give you a breakdown of when to use sine rule. Here now I have a list. It says the sine rule is applied where we are given two angles and the length of one side of a triangle, or the lengths of two sides of a triangle and the angle not formed by the two sides, right? So if you prefer to learn it off this way, then that's not a problem, right? So you have both options here. Now let's go into exactly how we use sine rule and what is sine rule. So say I was given a triangle looking like this, and say this point here was A, this corner here is B, and so this is C. Now these capital letters tend to represent the angles. So this is angle A, angle B, etc. Right? Now how we label this? If here is capital A, then the side opposite this angle, which is this side here, will be common A. If here is capital B, then the side opposite here will be common B, and similarly common C. So if you were using other letters, say P, Q, R, X, Y, Z, etc., you would just simply change your lettering to accommodate, right? Now, what is sine rule? Sine rule goes like this. It just simply says A over sine A. Now, this means the side A over sine of the angle A is equal to B over sine B, which is equal to C over sine C. This is sine rule. So now we move on to our first example. If we were given a triangle looking like this and we were asked to find AB, the first thing we do is we analyze. Is this triangle a right angle triangle? Now, if I were to analyze my values here, I have 60 here, I have 40 here, so that adds up to 100. So that means this one here would be 80 degrees. So this is not a right angle triangle, so I will not use SOHCAHTOA. So now let me see, will I use cos rule or sine rule? Now I have three angles, or two angles on one side. So that actually is this condition here. So I will definitely use sine rule. So writing out sine rule, because I have A, B, and C, I'll write small a is sine A, B over sine B, C over sine C. Now my first step says to label my triangles with the small a, etc. Here is capital A, so here will be small b A, here will be small b, and here will be small c. So determine which letter we have the two values for. Now in your question, there will always be a letter that you have two values for. In this particular question, I don't know if you realize this yet, but it's actually B. B I have small b for, I have big B for. So I know definitely I'm using this section of my formula. Now determine what letter we need. Now sometimes the letter that we need is very straightforward. Like in this particular case, find AB. AB is actually small c. And with small c, I have big C. So that works out nice. I have one of my unknowns for the C's. I have big C, but I need to find small c. So that means I'll simply use this. So I'm going to continue with my formula and use this section and this section. And I don't need to use A over sine A. Now I've done this and this. Now my last step says sometimes you may need to repeat the sine rule formula. In this particular question, I wouldn't need to do that because once I use my values for B and C's, I will find my value that I need, which is small c. So let me continue here. B over sine B, writing it out. I get this. Now substituting, I get 300 over sine of 40 is equal to small c over sine of 60. Now, just simply sending this across, I get small c is equal to 300 over sine 40 by sine 60. Plugging this all into my calculator, I will get about 404.12 meters. So that, everyone, is the end of my first example. Now moving on to example 2. Example 2. Now, in this particular sum, the first thing we have to figure out is, are we given a right angle triangle? No, I'm not seeing any, right? I know here's 40, but I don't know this angle and I don't know this angle. So I can't say it's a right angle. So I can't use SOHCAHTOA. Now, secondly, what am I given? I'm given two sides, and am I given the angle in between? No. Otherwise, I would have used cos rule. I'm given two sides and this angle here. So that means that's this condition here, so I will use sine rule. So we have P, Q, and R, so we'll use P over sine P, Q over sine Q, R over sine R, right? We'll use a combination of these values. Now, to use sine rule, the first thing we do is we relabel, right? So this is capital P, so here will be common P, here will be common R, here will be common Q. Now, what do I have two values for? I have two values for R, so I'll definitely use R over sine R, right? What do I need? I need my Q, the small q, that's PR, right? PR is small q, that's here, this side here, this is what I need. But I don't have big Q either. I don't know what that is. So it doesn't make sense for me to put Q over sine Q here because I'll have this is an unknown and this is an unknown. So what I'll do instead, guys, I will put this equal to P over sine P because for P's, I have my small p. So I know this value, I know this value, I know this value. So by working this step out first, I will find capital P. And then I could repeat the process, which is actually my 0.6. Sometimes we may need to repeat the sine rule to get the required side. So everyone, my first step is this, right? So now let me continue with that. Small r is 10 over sine of big R. Small p is, small p is 11 over sine of big P. Now for this, I'll get 10 by sine P, 11 by sine 40. Now sine P will be 11 over 10 by sine 40. And then P is simply sine inverse of all of that. That works out to be around 45 degrees. So P, everyone, is 45 degrees. I could come here now and stick in P as 45 degrees. Now, by figuring out what this P is with 45 degrees and this value here is 40, then I could work out what this Q is, right? So everyone, by adding up these two, 40 and 45, I get 95. Take it from 180, I'll end up getting 95 degrees for Q. So now I know this value here. So now I could put my R over sine R is equal to small q over sine q and work out for small q. So this will give me this. I don't know what q is. Sine q is now 95. Now my small q, that simply works out to be 10 over sine 40 by sine 95. By working all of this out, I will get Q is actually about 15.5 centimeters. So that, everyone, is the end of my second and final example. right? So I hope you understand. So what I had to do in this particular question was, even though I was asked to find this here Q, and I didn't know anything, I only knew small p. I knew this, I knew this, I knew this, but I didn't know what this was. I had to end up using P and R first and then substituting for Q, right? So I hope that you understand and I hope that you follow. Now please feel free to shoot me a comment, let me know your thoughts on the work that I've done today. And I really, really hope that you improve on your work and you understand and you feel more confident with respect to this topic. Okay, thanks guys for tuning in. Take care.